Ninja. Well, here we are again.
Good
Sports
morning,
fans,
afternoon, sports fans.
we're in it.
We're in it.
This is going to get a little bit away from the mentality side of it, the immigrant side of it. There's going to be some stories. There's going to be some theories.
Yeah, I would say if you're easily offended, turn off now because we're going deep on this one. And if you don't like it, then don't watch it. All right.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, don't at me. Right, Corey Brogan?
For real, no cap.
We're going big today. This is episode 9 of the Immigrant Mentality Podcast. I'm Real Reese Davis, and that is Corey Brogan. If you don't know, we're going deep on conspiracies. Today we're talking about our favourite conspiracies, and by favourite that could even mean our least favourite conspiracies, because if they're true, we're in big trouble. But
Yeah,
these are
big
ones
trouble.
that have gripped our attention a little bit. So, prepare as we go off the deep end. Corey, do you want to explain, first of all, why you love conspiracies and the challenges that you find of being a conspiracy theorist?
Okay, straight into the deep end. I wouldn't call myself a conspiracy theorist, but and nor do I love them, because sometimes if they turn out true, it kind of sucks. And I don't know, like I think you always have to think outside the box. You can't just listen to what you're told. News outlets, mainstream media, I don't know. Just think for yourself. Do the research. It's not that I get pleasure out of it. I just like to think outside the box.
That was very diplomatic of you.
I know.
Well,
It can
this
get weird,
episode
right?
kind of comes about because we were talking and we had a great time filming last week's episode.
Great time.
And we had a great time introducing friend of the show, Long John, to everyone. And I love Long John. He's a great guy. He's one of my best friends. He's a top guy. But he thinks drinking tap water is okay.
Strange.
And
Strange.
it got me thinking that I assume that everyone knows the things that I know. In general. So I forget that a lot of people don't know a lot of the crap that I know. So I thought it'd be useful for us to do a conspiracy theory episode where we talk about some of the things that maybe aren't as well known. Like some of these conspiracy theories, like the tap water issue. Don't drink tap water. It's full of crap. Stop it.
That's a great start. Yeah.
We've
What's
highlighted tap water before, but it's just the tip of the iceberg today. Corey, do you want to tell us the first one? Hit me.
Dude, the first one's crazy to me because I actually kind of I kind of felt a little bit a part of it. Malaysian flight MH370 is the first one for me.
Now, is that the flight that got shot down over the ocean?
See, you think it got shot down. That's very naive of you. Where are we looking?
Then enlighten us.
Yeah. So, March 8th, Malaysian flight MH370 took off into a night flight, a red eye. Can't remember the destination, but it disappeared off the radar. Like people's families and were super distraught. Didn't know what happened to the plane and their friends and family, and yeah, like pretty sad, like pretty strange as well.
Yeah, I remember it on the news.
Yeah. So I was going to the Dominican around that time, maybe like, I don't know, like a week or so later, maybe a month. I don't know. I can't remember. Maybe it was a month. And we're going down to the Dominican. Obviously, we're flying. There's chatter, like on the news, like It was a strange time, right, for flying. It was kind of, it felt like 9/11. I mean, that's a conspiracy theory too. Fuck. Uh,
Hey, we could get into that one later as well if you want. 'Cause that is
yeah,
a good one. That is
that's
that is a good one.
that's a fucking huge one. So yeah, so anyway, we get down in Dominican. We're there for a week. Everything's awesome. Kind of had that in the back of the mind. Didn't really think too much of it, and obviously we're at an all inclusive and having a few beers, having a few rums. We're like, okay, let's go fishing. So we go fishing, and pretty successful day. Get a whole bunch of fish, and I haven't really thought about the flight itself. We get off the boat, and the guide was like, "Hey, the fish you caught today, do you want to take them back to the hotel to cook them up?" I was like, "Nah, like give them to you boys. You boys will use them all up. Like have a big feed with your family. Like that's awesome." And he's like, "Oh, thank you so much." He's like, "Would you like to meet the owner?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, cool. I'll say good day to him." And he's an American guy. I think he was from like Florida or something. But have you seen Tropic Thunder?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you remember Sergeant Four Leaf Tayback, where he's got the hook on his hand?
Not
And
off the top of my head. I saw
he
that movie a long time ago.
he's in the background, and he's got like the dark shadowing. He's smoking a cigar, and he wrote the
Yeah.
book, right? So this guy comes up to me. He's kind of like an older, but he's walking like military, right? You know that walk. So he's walking up and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, thank you so much for like supporting my business. Like it means a lot." And the boys are gonna eat all the fish. They're gonna have a barbecue. Like it's gonna be awesome. And I was like, "Oh, your friend said you're from the US," and he's like, "Yeah, yeah, I lived in the US for a while and did a lot of my military service there." And I was like, "Oh, you're a serviceman?" And he's like, "Yeah." Like I can't remember what he told me, but he was. I think he was pretty up there. Uh, I was like, "Can I ask you something?" And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "That flight, Malaysian flight MH370, uh, did it go down or did it land in Diego Garcia?" And he just like straight faced me, looks me dead in the eye, and goes, "How do you know about Diego Garcia?" So I was like, "I've said too much."
I need more context here, Corey.
No,
What is Diego
whoa,
Garcia?
whoa, whoa. So so at this point, I'm like, shit. I've just revealed my ace of spades. I'm like, fuck. So we like kind of like divert from the conversation, and anyway, we get back to it because I'm having a beer now, and he's like, "How did you know about Diego Garcia?" And I was like, "Oh, I googled it." And I looked at the map, and it's very much there. So Diego Garcia, uh, a theory that some other uh, onlookers of the plane in the Maldives saw early in the morning a huge plane flying low, heading out to the Indian Ocean, like just straight out. Now, if you can picture where the Maldives are, it's like Sri Lanka, India kind of area, right? Nice little vacation spot, a lot of like huts on the ocean and stuff, right? So not sure if there's many flight paths that go over that, but anyway, this big boy is flying real low over the Maldives, and then yeah, it disappears over the horizon. And if you look at a map, or if you Google Diego Garcia is a little like chain island just in the middle of fucking nowhere. And what it was used for was for World War II and maybe not so much World War II, but for Vietnam, where the British
Okay.
were using this area as kind of like a land, like an aircraft carrier, but it was land. So they built
Right.
an airport there where you could fly in, refuel, reload up, take off, right, and then head over to Vietnam and do your bidding, right. So what this is, they think, is that the plane has made an emergency turn point, but it's also turned off its black box. It doesn't want to be recorded. It turns off its radars and everything. Now Australia has the best sonar radar fucking in the whole of the world. It's a bit strange that if a plane goes down in the Indian Ocean, that this radar cannot pick up one piece of steel. So it never went down. It never went down into the water, I feel. And it's landed. It's landed perfectly. and it's landed perfectly on the airstrip in Diego Garcia. Now, this is where it gets fucky, if it wasn't already fucky before. On Diego Garcia, if you click on the map, down on the south part, there is what's called Group-Based Electro-Optical Deep Space Surveillance Station. Now, do you see that?
I'm looking. I've just found the. I'd never heard of Diego Garcia, so I'm just looking at. There's a Wikipedia page here.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know if you heard me there, but group-based, grounded-based electro-optical deep space surveillance. Deep space surveillance. Now, plane's gone down, landed perfectly. Weeks, months pass. And then in the Netherlands, I think it was the Netherlands, could be in Germany, an unmarked plane takes off at a particular time. Takes off. People are like in the control tower, who the fuck's flying that plane? Like, it's got no markings. Like, what the fuck is this shit? We're told that it was a military exercise. Plane takes off, flies over the Ukraine, and gets bombed, shot, taken down. And this is the part that you've heard, where Russia and the Ukraine were like, wasn't our plane, we shot it, like, I didn't shoot it down. Then they're like, well, we didn't shoot it down, so who the fuck shot it down? Right? Strange. Plane goes down, split in half, shit everywhere. And as they're going over the fuselage, they're noticing parts that are painted over that say MH370 and Malaysian flags. So why is a Malaysian flag over in the Netherlands and then it's painted over? The weird thing as well is that there are either two parts to this. One, there was bodies and they were already dead. Or two, there was no bodies on the plane. But the same thing adds up. Passports, a bunch of them were all on that plane and they're all hole punched. Now, you're an international traveler. I'm an international traveler. If you get a hole punch passport or the first inch of the first cover cut, it's expired. You can't use that passport. So all of these passports are hole punched because a whole bunch of like the locals were finding scattered passports everywhere. So how do you fly on a hole punch passport? And how do you find like 100 of them plus?
I don't know the answer to that.
So I think this plane's gone down, landed, captain crew has been like, hey guys, just to let you know, like we had to make an emergency landing, probably landing gear. We're just going to park it over on Diego Garcia real quick. It's not owned by the British anymore. It's owned by the US. They have a lease for the next, I think when this happened in 2014, they had a lease for 70 years or something like that. They still own or are renting this from the British. I think they've landed, disembarked the people, told, hey, just hang tight, we're going to fix the problem. Hate to say it, but just experiments, weird things, right?
So the allegation is the US government is behind it?
It could be, but it's British soil, so British soil could be in on it as well. Why is there?
And then there's a Dutch element to it as well.
A Dutch element as well. Like, why is there a deep space exploration kind of like radar? Like that's what you have the Hubble telescope for. That's what you have like all these other things we've sent up there for. Why is this thing here? Get really weird.
I'm gonna have to look into this.
Get really weird, and then you can say, hey, are they sending these people to this deep space thing? Is there a portal? Is there some dark entity, light entity, offerings? I don't know, man.
Well, I think you've opened up a can of worms there. Honestly, I was not familiar with this one at all.
It was crazy because like I remember like Googling it, and I don't know what made me like just search the ocean in Google Maps in 2014, but I was just like, I'll just have a geezer, and I noticed it, and I was like, that's kind of strange. And then just as the more news was coming out, it showed the flight path where it was supposed to go, but then it went the other way. I was like, this is kind of strange.
And so this ex-military guy in
in the Dominican.
the Dominican,
Yeah.
he was very spooked out that you
Yeah,
thought
he
you
was
might know something about this.
the first interaction, man. Like he opened up to me a little bit later, but he knew like Diego Garcia is like, kind of like this, I don't know, secret spot, and just me on a beach, couple beers in me. Hey, man, what's this Diego Garcia? Kind of like, and he just fucking straight faced me, man. Just fucking went, how do you know about that?
He may have been fucking with you.
He might have been fucking with me. But that's the beauty of conspiracy theories. Because it fucking,
Yeah.
dude, the documentaries that come out now, I'm like, I don't know if I can watch this, man. Because I don't know if they're going to like highlight what I kind of think I know. And I fly a
Well,
lot. So I'm like,
what I
I
would
don't know.
say about my general feeling towards conspiracy theories is obviously I engage with them and I like to get into them. But there is a problem in that once you look behind the curtain, you can't unsee what you've seen,
Yeah.
and you can never live your life the same way. You can't then. It's hard to have conversations with people who are not open to this kind of stuff
Yeah. It's
because
like,
they can't process the idea that there might be more to things than they're being told,
well, that's why, like,
and then you
I say,
can't
like,
then.
you have to think outside the square. But if you do that all the time, you'll be down rabbit holes. You'll drive yourself insane. But then you got to take it with a grain of
Yeah.
salt. But then if you take it with a grain of salt, like tap water, which you shouldn't take like a grain of salt, you should not drink the tap water. You then like I don't know, like you're brushing it off the shoulder and you feel like you're a sheep. So
Yeah, so it's you can't. It's hard mentally to be half in, half out on these things.
yeah, yeah, it's weird.
Because if you're half in, half out, then you're always fooling yourself. Then
Yeah,
because you're trying to look the other way, but you can't, and you're killing yourself. Then.
yeah,
So I would advise the general public to stay away from conspiracy theories because your mind is not ready for it,
yeah. You got to be ready
and
for it.
it'll hurt you. It'll hurt you.
So yeah, how'd you
That
like
was
that
a
one?
good intro. Well, I'll tell you what, that was all brand new to me, but I am going to have to look into it after this show is done. That's for sure. So I'll have an update for you on that one next week. So I'm going to have to take a deep dive into that one.
What else you got
You
for
did,
me, big boy?
you mentioned 9/11 as well.
Oh fuck! Do we have to do that
That
one?
one's brutal, eh? There's always the trouble with 9/11, right, is obviously it was a horrific thing and the realities are brutal, right? A lot of people died that day.
Yeah, man,
So I
it's
think you
fucking
have to
tragic.
tread carefully in how you approach those things because the conspiracies that are out there regarding it are quite dark
Very dark.
and they necessarily are accusatory
Yeah,
towards um, groups that, if it were true, would be quite dark scenarios that then necessarily open up a whole other can of worms.
yeah,
It's way easier to process the idea that an unfriendly terrorist organization did those things. The
yeah,
alternative, when you think about it, is a lot worse.
yeah. All for money. Fucking disgusting.
Well, money and worse. Who knows? For me, I try to stay away from the 9/11 stuff as much as I can, but every now and then you do kind of get sucked into it and you hear about it. Like, for example, how did Tower 7 go down?
What's
How
Tower
could
7?
Tower 7 I think the main two towers, the twin towers, were
Oh, that's
one
what it's
and
called.
two,
Okay, okay.
right?
1 and 2. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? They were Tower 1 and Tower 2.
You're right.
How did Tower 7 go down? It wasn't even hit.
What the fuck is Tower 7?
Have you never heard of this one?
No, what the fuck is Tower 7 if there's only 2?
Oh. So, the World Trade Center was a group of buildings, right?
Okay.
The most famous of those buildings were Tower 1 and Tower 2, which were the twin towers.
The iconic towers.
The iconic, right? But the World Trade Center was a complex of buildings that were all built in the same kind of time frame and used for the same kind of purpose.
Okay.
There were many of them, and there still are many of them now. Some of them rebuilt and what have you. But Tower 7 was an extra tower. There was not one of the main twin towers
Okay.
that went down that day.
Okay.
Tower 7 wasn't even hit by a plane.
No.
The allegation is that the impact on the main towers and then subsequent fires caused Tower 7 to go down independent of an attack.
Huh.
And when you look at the footage, it looks like a controlled demolition.
Yeah, like it doesn't like fall.
Kind of falls,
It doesn't
it
fall.
falls
It falls
in on itself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It falls in on itself like that. Now, how did that happen? And there's another video as well of news reporters talking about how Tower 7 went down before it even went down.
Really?
Yeah, you ain't going to sleep tonight, Corey.
What's in Tower 7?
Well, I think it was, I don't know. But I think it was all business, right? It was all trade. The World Trade Center. It was office spaces.
Well, you know what they said that was at the bottom of Towers 1 and 2, right?
No.
Like a whole fucking stack of gold bars.
I didn't know that.
That's what they were saying, yeah.
But then
like
who
just
took it?
Stacks.
That's
right?
another question, isn't it? Well,
like
I'm not aware of any gold in the basement, but look into Tower 7 because Tower 7 went down and it was not hit by a plane.
Fuck. Man, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. We're teaching each other on this one.
Yeah, I thought it was just gonna be like, yep, got that one. Yep, got that one. It's like
And
collect them
now
all like Pokemon.
I walk around on a daily basis knowing that Tower 7 went down without a plane hitting it.
Yeah, I fucking did.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So here's back to what I was talking about. Is when you know this stuff, it's hard to like walk among people
Yeah.
because I assume that everyone knows that, and that we all know that we're living in this lie, but you don't even know it.
I don't know. I just know that we're on the same like path kind of thing.
It's hard though, isn't it? It's hard to reconcile that in your brain.
Yeah. It's fucking tragic, man. Yeah.
Do you want to move on to some more light-hearted conspiracy theories? Like, what's a good one? Like, CBDCs. Do you know what CBDCs are?
I do.
Central
Yeah,
bank digital currencies.
This ties into a lot of recent kind of theories and actions that were made probably from around 2020 or 20 even 20 like 18,
Well, I think that
19.
they were going on long before 2020. It's maybe only around then that it started becoming
right, but then you have the CBDCs,
more,
you have
more
the
well
15-minute cities, CBDCs, like
carbon
control.
credits.
Carbon credits. It's
Control.
control, right? Control is the theory, conspiracy theory here.
Yes, the overall conspiracy theory is to do with control and restriction of freedom. CBDCs is an aspect of that.
Do you know how a CBDC could be used in the modern world?
Yeah, so, well, for those who don't know, a CBDC, a central bank digital currency, is basically a currency that has no real world backup or value. It's just controlled digitally. It only exists digitally, and there's no physical thing to back it up.
Say it for the people in the back. It's called crypto.
Well, it's like crypto, except
It's the same.
a lot of cryptocurrencies are not controlled centrally.
No, they're not controlled centrally, but they run on a blockchain where everyone can see everyone's transaction, right?
Yes, whereas these CBDCs are controlled centrally.
Controlled centrally, but it's a like you just said, it's a fund that has no backing. It has no
Yes,
it has no physical attachment. That's
yes,
crypto.
exactly,
Digital, right?
exactly. But the worrying part is the central control
Yes.
and how it ties into this whole eradication of freedom aspect. So basically, it's a war on cash and the things that cash represent. Um, there's in a world of CBDCs, there's no cash. It's only digital currency, so it's only credit cards or whatever the future version of that is. But every transaction is then monitored and fully visible. There are no invisible transactions. There's no paying $20 with a piece of paper for gas.
Describe an invisible transaction.
Well, an invisible transaction might be using cash to buy something at a grocery store,
See,
right?
I'll say it in a way that I'm more used to, and maybe others would relate to it. An invisible transaction is a cash purchase that the government cannot track. So that would
Yeah,
be
it's getting your haircut at the barber that only takes cash,
right. But I think
right?
of like
I
so,
don't
so
know
this
if
is
the government is
where my brain
aware
goes
of that.
when I think of cash used in the modern society. Firearms, drugs. You can do all this with cash. It's expected to do with cash or crypto at this point, and you can buy this without the government knowing. So
Yeah,
if
it's
you can,
also your grandmother giving you a 20 and
yeah,
saying,
it's
"Go
your
and buy
grandmother giving
yourself
you the 20.
something."
But if you control the currency, this means that one, no more purchase of firearms. Two, if it's an illegal street drug, cocaine, heroin, MDMA, if you're purchasing those, you can't because you don't have any cash, and the government's going to see your exact purchases. So then you have
Correct.
that to worry about, and then
Correct.
the big part of this is let's just say your yearly income does not change, right? Say you're making $50,000 a year, US, Canadian, Mexican pesos, doesn't matter. So you're making $50,000. That's the number you're getting. So they allot a percentage of what you can purchase for groceries. So let's just say 25% of that, a quarter of 50,000. Fuck. Come on, brain. 12,500 is allotted
Twelve and
for
a half
groceries.
thousand.
12,500 is allotted for groceries. So you can't spend more than that on groceries. You also, if you spend less, it might not roll over in the next year. So you kind of want to use your twelve and a
Well,
half
and
thousand.
break it down even further as well. Break it down even further. 12,500 is what they might tell you you're allowed to spend on groceries, but then maybe only 1,000 of that you're allowed to spend on alcohol or on cigarettes or
Yeah,
on meat or whatever you want.
yeah,
When the worry with the CBDCs is that once you remove the cash, once you eliminate the freedom of choice and the freedom of privacy,
yeah,
that it's a slippery slope towards dictatorship. That you're told what you can and cannot buy,
yeah.
and that could be carbon related under the guise of We're doing this to save the planet. You only have a certain amount of carbon credits that you're allowed to spend every year.
Yeah. So if
No,
you have
you're
a
not allowed. Yeah,
if you
you've
have a
spent this
petrol
much money
car,
on gas this year. You're not allowed any more.
you're not allowed anymore.
You've used
Or
your flight allowance this year. You're not allowed to buy any more.
yeah, they might give you a little bit more if you have an electric vehicle, but at the end of
Well,
the
that's
day, you're only allowed to spend $10,000 on a new vehicle. You have to save 5 years to get 50,000 to get a
this
new vehicle.
terrifies me.
Well, it all comes down to 15-minute cities as well, right? That's the other part of control.
Well, yeah, you're not allowed to. They can then control not just what you spend your money on, but where you spend your money as well.
Yeah,
They might might have your universal credit card that doesn't work outside of your 15-minute city.
yeah,
You could be effectively broke outside of that 15-minute city.
yep.
This is deep stuff, right? And the trouble is if you say this now, you're a wild conspiracy theorist.
If
But
this comes
it's
if
not
this
that
comes
illogical.
true, if this comes true, I really hope it fucking doesn't come true. If this comes true, this is gonna be fucked.
Are you familiar with the social credit system they have in China?
Kind of, maybe.
Well, it effectively works just like this. They have a social credit system. Basically, the whole vast network of facial ID cameras,
Right.
and they watch you constantly. They watch what you do online, they watch what you do in the streets. If you cross the street, if you jaywalk, you're docked social credit points. If you say the wrong things about the government, you're docked points. What happens if you're docked a certain amount of points? They restrict your travel. You can't buy train tickets, you can't buy flights.
Whoa.
This is we're already seeing what we're talking about here happening in China.
Yeah, that's fucked.
Now, obviously, we're a little bit further behind on that, but it's not crazy revolutionary technology we're talking about here. Another reason why we're seeing a push towards these CBDCs is what's happened to the money supply in the last 4 or 5 years.
Gone down. Disappeared.
Do you know how much? Do you know how much of the cash that's in circulation was created in the last 5 years?
No.
It's about 75%.
Yeah.
What staggers me, what I can't really fathom. How much has inflation been over the last few years? 10%? It's been high, right?
Right.
High. And it doesn't take a genius to see that inflation has been high.
No.
When you hear it's 10%, it's definitely higher than 10%.
Yeah.
There's no way actual inflation is 10%.
Yeah, no.
It's been crazy high for a few years. What staggers me is that it hasn't been higher. The money supply has more than doubled in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So what's happening there?
What's deflate? Are you talking about deflationary? Like
no, I'm
the
talking about
money itself?
the money has been created out of thin air. They print the money,
Yeah.
right, to pay for things. Now that should cause rapid inflation, hyperinflation, but it hasn't.
Right.
But it should have. Now, the conspiracy is that the people in charge of the money supply have been crazy printing money to give to everyone and then buying up assets. And the idea is buying up assets so that when inflation happens, their assets only get more valuable.
Right.
And those assets will still have value when they switch over to CBDCs.
Right.
So in the new currency,
yeah.
they're wealthy as hell.
Yeah, okay. Shit.
Right? And if you're wealthy, well, then guess what? You can pay for more carbon credits. You can pay so that you can spend more money at the grocery store. You can pay so that you don't live in a 15-minute city, you live in a 30-minute city.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good old-fashioned power grab through money.
Fuck, I didn't look at it like that. I just
So
knew
I
what it was
now
used for.
terrifying, isn't it? Terrifying.
Oh, it's fucked.
This is the world that I live in, dude. This is the world I live in. So when you go somewhere now and they say, "Oh, we don't accept cash," don't support them. Don't support them. Even if you were going to pay on credit card, don't give them your money because they are helping your enslavement.
Boom. Holy shit.
Can you imagine being me, dude? Can you imagine living inside my head?
I do.
It's
I'm
hard work, to be honest.
well, we're in the same fucking boat here. Just we're teaching each other different shit.
Yeah, but then this is where whatever happened with MH370, I don't know, and 9/11's tragic, right? But this 15-minute city shit keeps me up at night.
Well, yeah, because it's on your doorstep, right?
It's
Like
why do you
it's
think
there.
why do you think they're going after farmers so hard? Have you seen the farmers protesting in Europe right now?
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
So
And they're dumping
farmers,
soil on the road or something.
yep, yeah. You know they fuck. I've seen this. They've been ordered. Farmers in Ireland have been ordered to kill a lot of their cattle. Do you know why?
Why?
Because their farts make the sun hotter.
It's absurd.
How much bullshit is that? Come on. I go past a field full of cows and they're eating grass, right? And they tell me, oh, that's bad for the environment. That is the environment. How can that be bad for the environment? They've been doing that for millions of years. And now all of a sudden, cows burping and farting is making the sun hotter. Give me a break. Cut the crap. See, I just won't stand for this bullshit, right? I won't stand for it.
Oh,
I
it's
can't
absurd.
deal with it.
It's absurd. It's mainstream media bullshit that's just fucking whipping the mass culture into fucking enslavement.
Yeah. And we're
And you're not
signing
thinking
off
outside
our
the
own
box.
enslavement checks.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. We're sleepwalking into this.
Fuck, dude.
And we have a choice. We can either pretend that it's not happening, or we can try and help people. We can try and fix it.
Yeah.
The trouble is, you try and tell people, you try and help them, and they hurl abuse at you and call you a conspiracy theorist and a nut. So that makes you not want to help people.
Well, then you start questioning yourself, right? Have I thought about this too much? Have I gone too hard in the paint? Am I just running fucking circles in my brain? Like,
yeah.
You start to question.
I flip flop between going full all in on this to try and save the world at my own expense, and just looking the other way and running off to live in the woods or something.
Yeah.
It's a hard choice. I haven't decided which one yet.
I know.
Because everyone's so ungrateful. I try to help them.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks I'm a maniac.
I keep seeing these memes where it's just like, it's like someone running down the street or something, and it's like, why do you do so much cardio? And the response is, to escape 15-minute cities, to not be a part of the CBDCs. It's just like a whole list of shit. That's why I do cardio, so I can run to the next 15-minute city.
Should we? This leads into the next one, I think, with regards to fitness and health. The conspiracy is that the food industry and pharmaceutical industry are in cahoots to keep us fat and unhealthy for profit.
Why would they do that? Oh, for profit. Okay.
Oh, that's a good question. Basically, it's in the interests of both industries. If the food industry feeds us crap all the time, makes us fat and unhealthy, then the pharmaceutical industry can profit off of giving us drugs to fix the problems that we have that could be fixed by just eating and exercising properly.
Yeah.
And they're like that together.
They're in bed together.
They're in bed together, yeah, because there's a lot of money to be made off it. There's a lot of money to be made off of feeding people crap. You know why? Because it's cheap to make. There's not a lot of money in cows in a field eating grass. Do you know why?
No.
Because it's expensive. It's labor intensive, and you can only fit so many cows per field. You can make 1,000,000 bars of
Impossible
chocolate
burgers.
in
What,
one
a million impossible burgers, fucking vegan burgers. Do you?
Exactly.
I saw vegan tuna on a post the other day. Do you know what it was? You know
Oh,
what vegan?
yeah, watermelon. Makes me want to throw up that. Come on. Come on.
It's getting absurd, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, so the idea is that profits maximizing in the food industry also goes hand in hand with profits maximizing in the pharmaceutical industry. And this is where I have an issue with doctors as well, is because I believe that doctors are bought and paid for by the pharmaceutical industry.
That's a very good topic to bring up because I actually have two doctors. And it's not like I don't pit them against each other, but one is a naturopath and one is a doctor.
And they're both MDs, right? They're both
MDs.
Okay, so what do they say that's contradictory?
So far, nothing. And that's how I kind of get my idea and basis. Like, if you have a doctor that's prescribing you medication to not be fat, then you have a drug dealer. You don't have a doctor.
Amen to that.
Right? So, if both of my doctors last year when I went in and I wasn't working out so much and I was kind of like down, but I had these like gut issues where I was just like, sometimes I fart a lot, sometimes I burp a lot. Like, this is kind of shitty. Felt sluggish. Naturopath was like, take this, this, and this, and this. And I was like, okay, that worked. And then she's like, don't take them anymore because it worked. I was like, oh, okay, sweet. That's how she goes then, I guess. And then I go and see the other doctor. And we do our like the blood test and things. And then she goes, yeah, everything's looking great. Don't come and see me for a whole year. Like, don't come and see me for a whole year. Keep up the training. Keep up the exercises. Lay off the booze. Drink and eat healthier items. And I don't have to see the
Sounds
doctor
like
for
you
a
have some
fucking
good
year.
doctors.
That's what I mean. So I feel quite lucky that both of them, like, yes, the naturopath has slightly different views when it comes to the metrics of ureic, is it ureic or urea, the urea rating that I have. Obviously, I have a high protein diet. That's a little bit higher. The other doctor, the OG doctor, she goes, no, because you have a high protein diet, so I wouldn't be too concerned about that. So it's like, I have them not pitted against each other. They're literally working together, and they have two different mindsets when it comes to health. So I'm quite fortunate.
That's not very conspiratorial of you, though, is it?
No, it's not. But to get back to my point, if, well, I mean, conspiracy, everyone would say, oh, a naturopath is just a hippie. Well, no. There's more to that, right? Like root canals. Oh, you want a conspiracy theory about health? Root canals. Right?
Dude, dentists are the biggest fucking charlatans in the world.
I agree. And I've had so much dental work, and they're just like, fucking root canal. I'm like, I don't know about that.
It's all of the unnecessary shit that we do with dentists is insane. Do you know you don't even need to use toothpaste?
Toothpaste or actually like brush your teeth? Like you can just like do, what is it? Like coconut oil pulling or something? Like,
dude, I stopped using toothpaste
pull?
I stopped using toothpaste about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I brush my teeth with a brush and I floss. But I
Right,
don't use
yeah.
toothpaste anymore. And my teeth are about as good as they've ever been.
Fucking hell.
It turns out you don't need to neutralize the acid of your mouth twice a day. And think about it. Think about it. Why would we be doing that?
Well,
Like, why does it make sense to neutralize your mouth twice a day?
yeah, no, well, fresh breath, it's cosmetic, right? People would
Yeah,
look at that and
breath
be
doesn't
like,
come from the mouth. Breath comes from the gut.
amen.
That's another one. How
Yeah,
we're going. So apparently everything is controlled by your gut bacteria.
obviously.
Have you right? Like breath. So
Yeah,
if you have bad breath, you got a gut problem.
check your gut. Yeah.
Yeah. So everything's controlled by your gut.
Well, you have the gut microbiome, right?
Yeah.
If you like, if you don't feel good, like you don't, my tummy's upset, or I got to poop, you got diarrhea, you got gas, you can't shit, like, oh, fucking an array of things. The gut
If
microbiome, the fucking
if,
bacteria in there. That's your engine. That's the engine, man.
if you've got BO, that's your
Yeah,
gut.
yeah.
Like all comes back to the gut microbiome.
And fucking nail funguses.
We just we've covered a lot in this episode, but it's all a bit scattered. I think we're gonna have to have
We get too
a
excited.
part two to this, but we should probably be a bit more structured. We might have to do our first scripted episode
Yeah.
where we can present this stuff a little bit more compendiously.
But it's, well, like, where did we kick off there? 15-minute cities, CBDCs, jump straight into food, and then it's like, what you are what you eat. So it's not like we have gone off topic. We're in the food
No,
area, but it's not so much deep dark conspiracies.
but there's just so much to unpack with all of these things. I feel like
Yeah,
we've jumped from one to the other. I actually think that the 15-minute cities, CBDCs, global warming, all that stuff could be linked to the food and drug problem as well.
it's probably
Because
all linked.
if you are fat and depressed, you're less likely to fight against the 15-minute city CBDC issue.
You'd probably think it's awesome. 15 minutes just to fucking waddle around and like, oh, I can go here and get this. I can go here and get that. I don't
Yeah.
have to leave my house.
It's like, oh, it's great. I don't have to carry cash. Way.
Hey, whoa. But it's like,
It's easier. That's the thing. We're enjoying our slide into oblivion, right?
Yeah, you could say that.
Right. It's the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? But in this case, the road to hell is paved with pleasurable moments, right? Under the guise of making your life easier, they're taking away your freedom.
Fucked.
In they're selling you the idea of safety.
Yeah.
Right? Don't worry about the hard things. We'll take care of that. You stay safe, stay inside your bubble. And we'll take away all your freedoms as well.
Well, man, I feel like you're going to get assassinated here. Or you're going to get me assassinated.
Yeah, I think the CIA might be knocking on my door any second.
Is that a segue into another assassination topic?
Ooh. Well, okay. Here's the trouble. The JFK, obviously, there's something going on there, right? But I wasn't alive in the 60s, so it's hard for me to say. What is known is that he upset a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of powerful people.
Yeah.
Like he was the reason for the lack of a all-out war in Cuba, essentially.
Yeah.
Like he blocked that. He blocked a lot of the spying that the CIA was doing. You know what else he was big on was making sure that kids were physically fit and active.
Why is that so shocking?
That ties. Well, that ties back into the maybe it wasn't the CIA. Maybe it was Procter and Gamble who killed him.
Yeah.
Wait, is that potentially libelous?
Yeah, you've done something there.
Okay. I shouldn't have said that Procter and Gamble killed JFK because I don't have any evidence that supports that.
Fucking watch yourself. Watch
I'm
yourself.
sorry, Procter and Gamble.
Don't walk down dark alleyways now.
Yeah, they're coming for me. But yeah, so JFK was killed.
Was he?
But there's
Fuck. What was the shooter's name?
the alleged shooter was Lee Harvey Oswald, who
Lee
was
Harvey
also
Oswald.
killed.
Was he assisted?
Dude, you only have to look for 5 minutes to see that there was more than one shooter.
There was multiple angles, multiple shooters.
it's the most obvious, and like the whole. I would actually suggest, if you're interested in this one, look into. Do you know Johnny Harris?
No.
He's he worked for some liberal news media outlets, but he's a fairly good filmmaker. He makes films on YouTube, and he did a video about JFK that I thought was interesting, but he only touches the surface of the whole thing.
Yeah.
But 5 minutes in, and you're like, yeah, he definitely didn't act alone.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah, man, this fucked world.
I mean,
out there, bro.
look at the CIA. They're definitely corrupt, right? I mean, look at the treatment of people like Edward Snowden and Julian Assange.
Yeah.
Edward Snowden is a Russian citizen now
Yeah, fucking
because
wild.
he can't live in the US. And Julian Assange is in prison in London. Or near London.
Yeah.
I mean, he was for years at the Ecuadorian embassy. They kicked him out because the new Ecuadorian president was kind of implicated in some of the things that that
Fuck.
Assange had released. So they kicked him out. They was they were not having you anymore. And now he's in jail. But I don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah.
This is what happens to dissenting voices.
Yeah.
Corey, we might be
Disappeared.
getting in trouble.
You feel anxious now?
Have we? No, because I'd rather say the truth and get in trouble for it than not say the truth and not get in trouble.
Look, when you have someone like Alex Jones spitting fucking conspiracy theories out there, I think we have to go hard in the paint.
Yeah, maybe in the next episode they'll come knocking. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I think the tide is turning a little bit. I think that I don't think that I'm quite so lonely in all of this as I was 10 years ago.
No, more and more people are waking up, but then at the time
think
people
it's-
wake up, is it going to be too late?
That is the question.
Yes,
Have you ever heard the
good.
saying that the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they can't be moved?
Oh,
And people don't realize the size of their cage until they push up against the side of it. Some
Deep.
wisdom.
Deep wisdom.
Basically, we're in trouble. And we must fight. Are we going to have a part 2 for conspiracy theories? I think we need to.
Yeah, we can do that.
Because this is an hour long already, almost.
Yeah.
Sports fans, did you enjoy that one? Let us know what was your favourite. My favourite one, I think, is the CBDCs and how that ties into carbon credits and 15-minute cities. That should terrify you. If it doesn't, please look into it because it should terrify you. And if you don't want to let it terrify you, you're just sticking your head in the sand because this is coming. So fight it.
Damn, son.
I'm on a list now, aren't I?
You are on a list.
I'm probably on a few
Like, not a
lists
crazy
now.
list. But not a crazy list.
No,
Like,
a watch list.
yeah, like Alex Jones is at the top. They keep good eyes on him. you're somewhere like
Yeah.
down here where it's just like he's
They're like,
getting a little bit wily. Let's just dial this up a little bit here. He's doing
we've
a
got
lot
to
of like
schedule him for some bad luck.
he's doing a lot of like close-ups to the camera. He's getting right the fuck in there. You know, you gotta watch out when someone does that shit. They get fucking intense.
Yeah. Let's call it on this one, and we will reconvene next week. Stay tuned. If you enjoyed this, come again next week, because we're going to go even harder next week. I promise you that.
Reese, blink twice at the start of the episode, next episode, if you've been compromised.
Okay.
Okay, deal.
They'll never get to me. Booyah.
Peace.